Welcome to the HireLearning podcast, the show where ambition meets strategy. This is your go-to space for career truth, financial empowerment, leadership growth, and real conversations that are unfiltered and uncut. If you're ready to elevate your career, confidence, and future, then you're in the right place. Join our co-hosts, HR professionals Yolanda, Erin, and Caroline, right here, right now, for an episode of HireLearning. Hey, welcome to our next episode of HireLearning. We're glad to be back here today, and we have a special guest for us, Miss Elena Gibbs. The day our show is going to be on the insights to help you navigate career transitions, job seekers who are trying to remain or have momentum in their workspace should be here to listen, as well as managers and leaders supporting teams through change. This episode is definitely for you. And it's also for those professionals feeling stuck, burnt out, or ready for a new chapter in their careers. So today we have Elena Gibbs. She's my personal friend and inspiration for so many things. And I'm so glad that she agreed to be here with us on HireLearning today to give us her own personal story on how she's transitioned. Elena Gibbs is an empowered, tech-savvy leader. She's an innovator, strategist, and she's definitely an advocate for her community. Over 20 years, she has given leadership experience, and she advocates for women, children, and the community in the healthcare environment and in our everyday lives. She also hosts an online book club that I'm a part of, and I'm so proud of her and all that she's done in her own personal accomplishments. I welcome my dear friend, Elena Gibbs. Hey, Elena, how are you?
Hello, Yolanda. Thank you for such a wonderful introduction. It is great to be here with you today.
Oh, thank you, dear. Thank you. So how have you been?
I have been wonderful. Things are really busy, as you know, and so just excited to carve out this time to talk to you and your audience today.
Oh, great. Thank you. So we're going to talk about the insights to help others navigate career transitions. So I'm sure you have a lot of insight that you could give us. And I'd like to start with this first question. What was the momentum that you realized, or when was the moment that you realized it was time to do a career transformation?
So what I would say there, Yolanda, great question. But I think I have always looked at transitioning over a period of time. So I don't think it's one thing in our careers that allows us to shift. It is really being at the ready all the time. And you've always heard people say, be ready and be prepared so you don't have to get ready. And so in my mind, it is continually watching the market and the industry to know when you need to upskill and when you need to just have a plan B so that you can expand on your career and continue to elevate. So not one moment in time, I think, sticks out for me. It really is that momentum that you need to have all the time in this ever-changing environment to be prepared to shift if and when needed.
Oh, great. Wow. So before you made a shift or before you thought about it, did you have a certain feeling or expectation or uncertainty?
What I will say is I have tried to keep my ear to what is going on in our environment. I think I've had several phases of career life. So first being an entrepreneur many years ago, then looking to come back into corporate. And then once getting into corporate, keeping a measure on the environment and how things are going, really listening for how things are going. And I think the feeling that I have is uncertainty. And everybody knows we're living in uncertain times. And so to me, it's when you're not sure that you're in a solid space where this is going to give you some longevity. And so for me, that is the momentum I think that you're asking about, for when you need to make sure that you have all of the right skills in your back pocket.
Yes, thank you so much. Hey, I see our co-host Erin was able to make it and join us.
Oh my gosh. Good morning, afternoon. How y'all doing? Hello. Hi, Miss
Hey, Erin,
Alana.
how are you?
How are you?
That's quite all right. Elena was just sharing with us her thoughts of transitioning in her own personal career and how she's been able to manage the misconception of her transition.
Okay. Go right ahead. Go, Miss Elena.
So, Elena, so how did you actually identify when it was time for you to transition and actually move into a new role in your career?
So I think it is iterative, right? So in my mind, when I look at it, if we talk a bit about my career path and journey, in corporate, I started out kind of in a space where I came in just taking an entry level role to get into corporate, working in healthcare and healthcare IT. And I think that was fine for a period of time. But then you want to elevate yourself. So I would say it is reevaluating your skill set. I served as a project manager for a period of time. And in that space, sometimes you start to feel like you are working at that next level where you know you're ready for a uplift or moving up in the ladder. And when you start to feel like you can do your role with your eyes closed, in my mind, that is that signal for when you need to be looking for your next opportunity, or for when you need to just begin to have feelers out there to say, where am I going next? What's my next best move? So, directly answering your question would be when you feel like your role may get stale. If you're feeling stale in your role, if careerists are feeling like they might be at the top of the ladder in their specialty, might be a time when you would want to start looking and examining where you could go next.
Great, thank you, thank you. So, did you have opposition or pushback in your job when you knew you wanted transition, and perhaps your supervisor, wanted you to stay in that particular role or didn't see the same vision that you had for yourself?
And Yolanda, great question. I wouldn't necessarily call it opposition. I would sort of say adversity when folks are torn between you do a really great job at your job or your role. And so they want to keep the benefit of you and your talents on their team or their department or within their division. And yes, I would say that some of my leaders kind of selfishly want you to remain on their team so they can continue to reap the benefits of your talent and your skills. But I also see that as the flip side of that is that's the catalyst, because you can still have a greater impact no matter where you are and still benefit the teams that you previously were on. So some adversity, I would say. I think sometimes leaders are not always in a position to want to see good talent move on, but we have to kind of look internally and make the decisions that are best for ourselves.
Absolutely. Aaron, I see you shaking your head. When has that happened to you? What's your experience in regards to a manager perhaps not thinking that you need to transition in a moment that
I
you
have a story about that. It was a long time ago when I was first starting out in my career, and I really, really, really wanted to transition from where I was working at, which was in a human resources policy office, over to a personnel, back then they called it personnel office, right? And so I had actually, it wasn't even to personnel. I wanted to leave HR and I wanted to go over to, I think it was like either budget or acquisition. I can't remember. It was a long time ago, a whole nother office. And so I get paperwork all together. I know it's being routed around, getting all the signatures, and somehow it just disappears. The paperwork just vanishes. And I'm like, what happened to my action to reassign me? And I go to like the big boss in HR. Well, actually, he was over like all of the different program offices that fell under, so HR, acquisitions, budget, all of the offices. I went to him. I went to the big man in charge. And I was like, I know I had this paperwork. It was on its way to you so that you can approve me reassigning. And he was like, well, I haven't seen it. And I'm like, okay, I understand you haven't seen it, but that does not mean it does not exist. So I'm trying to get to the bottom of where this paperwork is. I really and truly believe that they all they conspired, like HR and this guy was conspiring to keep me right where I was. So I did not end up leaving and going to another office. But in the end, I feel like God always knows best because I'm still in HR to this day. And that had to be 20 years ago. So it has still served me well, but it was just like very discouraging. Like, what happened to my paperwork? Why are y'all telling me it's gone? I know I had it. I know it was being routed. But he was like, he just kept saying, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. And I'm like, okay, just because you haven't seen it does not mean it does not exist. It's somewhere. Something happened. But that's my story. And being young back then, I just didn't know what to make of it. But now I just feel like, God's plan is always the best plan. So it just was not meant for me to move at that time.
Wow. That's a similar story that happened with me. Actually, I was utilizing my manager as my referral. And I've asked him, hey, would you support me when I apply for these other positions? He said he was very supportive of me applying for other positions. And he know that I wanted the upper mobility. Well, after I finally had the opportunity to leave that job, I found out that he was doing just the opposite. He did not want me to leave. He felt and shared with others that, I was the best person in that position working with him and he didn't want to see me go. But I feel as though that supervisors should not hold people back. I think that it's very selfish that they think that they can't find a replacement for someone else to do the work, or they don't want to see the person grow because perhaps they're making their life at work easier. But it became very upsetting for me to not be able to move the way in which I thought that I wanted to move out the position with his support. And I regret it to this day. I'm angry about it to this very day of what he held me back and how he held me back.
Yeah, and Yolanda, I would share similarly a similar story more recently where I applied for a role outside of my current team, and I was going for another position, having worked in IT and looking to move over into operations. And while I made it through interview one, which was virtual, and then there was a second interview that was in person, we had to go through a panel interview. And as you guys know, HR often asks you, have you informed your former supervisor that you are applying for a role? And you actually have the option to determine whether you want to or not. And I think my decision at the time was, well, if I'm at a position where I'm going to be offered the role, then I would inform my vice president at that time. So then I get the invitation, made it through 3 rounds, and I'm going to the final round of interviews, and it's a panel. And they invited my associate vice president to the panel for my interview. And so you have to ask yourself, was HR really clear that this was my supervisor? I think HR said that they weren't sure. We didn't realize that was your reporting structure. But I also think that it's HR's role to know who you report to and where you report up to. So was that destiny? I took it as an opportunity to inform my AVP, my associate vice president, that I was applying for this role and one of the final candidates for an elevated role. And surprisingly for me, she backed out and took herself off of the panel to allow it to be kind of a more objective review. So that worked out in a positive manner, but it was interesting when you're looking to apply for roles. This is what candidates are concerned about. Are you going to tell my current supervisor that I'm applying for a role? And if I don't receive the position, could there be some angst there if you have to continue working in your old role? For me, it actually worked out really well. I was offered the position, respectfully declined it, and landed in a role in innovation. But it was interesting. You have to figure out how do you navigate those nuances when you're looking to apply for a position. And then we have to ask ourselves, what's HR's role in that? What are our supervisors' role? And keep ourselves at the forefront when we're looking for career elevation.
Well, let's ask hiring manager that question. Ms. Erin, what's your take? How soon do you think that employees or applicants for new jobs should be allowing their current jobs, no, not allowing, but letting their current employers know that they're interviewing or that they have applied and have an opportunity and may actually be selected for a job? What's your take on that?
I really think it just depends on your relationship with your supervisor. Is it one in which you can be open about something like that and not feel, pressure or judged or like the supervisor will hold something against you because they know you're looking or interviewing? Um, or is it one in which you and your supervisor have a relationship where you can share and they want to support you and they want you to grow and they want you to advance? So it just depends. If you have the former, one who is not going to be very supportive, one who is not interested in your career growth, but only wants you to stay to help out, right? I would not recommend sharing that you're looking. Because they'll figure out a way to thwart your opportunities, and keep you right where you are. If you have a supervisor where you're like, yes, let me know. I try to be open with my supervisor, like, hey, I'm thinking about leaving, so on and so forth. I just want to let you know that I'll be applying and interviewing for positions. And sometimes they take it well. Sometimes they like, no, Erin, no, don't leave or whatever. But they like, sometimes they understand. But again, it just depends on your relationship. But I agree with Miss Elena that, HR should definitely know who you report to and should not have people. But that's just my opinion. I try to be as candid as possible with my supervisors if I'm looking to leave, because sometimes I might need them for reference. But again, it just depends on that relationship. Some people just have really toxic relationships with their supervisors, and if that's the case, I don't recommend you say anything until you have a final job offer letter in hand.
Absolutely. I totally get that. And I definitely agree. So, Elena, how did you deal with the identity shift when you was in a company and you got a new job within that company and had to move on to another division?
Well, I'll tell you, it that can be challenging, right? Because sometimes when you're in a position and you feel like you have made, and let's say friends at work, I don't know you ladies, if you have friends at work, they're more associates and coworkers and colleagues than they are friends. But everyone is not always super positive about when someone receives a promotion or a transfer or moves into a different role. I think it uncovers, you realize who are part of your support squad. And so for me, I think it is interesting when you transition or move into new roles, elevate into new positions, who remain your confidants, your colleagues, and your closest advocates. And so to me, that is telling. For me, it's taken evaluation of who you put on your success team, and you reevaluate it often, right? I dealt with it in a way where you learn to reassess your relationships with folks who you have at work, and just figure out who really is in your corner, who is supportive, and who you need to continue those work and professional relationships with.
So, did you feel like you had to rebuild confidence? I know you're a confident woman, but when you take on a new position and other people know that you've been promoted or you might have been selected over them, what was that transition like and what did that feel like?
So what I'll say is, I think it really is about remaining visible and relevant. To your point, confidence hasn't necessarily been an issue, but I do think when you begin to work with a new group of stakeholders, they need to learn your skill set. So it's putting yourself in positions where you have a similar level of visibility, contact, and networks. But I would say it really is just continuing to build on your skills that you have in that role and make sure that folks are aware of why you are selected, how your skills are still relevant. And for me, those are the things that I leaned on. Really making sure that I was displaying the qualities that allowed me to move into a new role in the first place.
All right, thank you. Aaron, you have any questions in regards to transition for Miss Elena?
Yeah, Miss Elena, so what advice would you give a young professional woman, up and coming in her career, to help her navigate the space of her career path and her career growth? What would you recommend to her?
So I would say two things. So my first kind of guiding principle is around realizing and recognizing that you are really your own only limitation. You're only limited by what you limit yourself to. I think oftentimes we let folks limit us by titles or positions or telling you you're ready or not ready yet. And I throw all that to the wind. I really think that you have to realize, and it's personal confidence, as Yolanda mentioned, around realizing and recognizing that you're your only limitation. So the ceiling is only as far as you will allow it to go. We know there are barriers, but that would be my advice and first piece of advice. And then my second piece of advice for early careerists is around upskilling, continuing to put new skills and new talents into your basket. In my opinion, upskilling is no longer a reactive back pocket. Volunteer for opportunities. One thing I have done well, I would like to say, is to raise my hand to volunteer for projects, stretch roles, conferences. They can make all of the difference in a young person's career if they raise their hand and volunteer to be first, to go on a work conference, to serve on a committee. So those are some of the things that I would suggest or recommend to younger folks who are looking to just get strong footing in their career.
Oh, those are some great gems.
Great
I,
advice. Yes.
yes, I
Thank
love that.
you.
Thank you so much. So I know one of the things that you do on your job is a lot of mentoring. So do you have an opportunity to really share these gems with the people you work with or the mentees you have?
Absolutely, Yolanda. Great question. So, yes, I do. For my organization, I serve as the co chairperson for one of our employee resource groups. We have a Black African American and Allies resource group, and it's called BAM affectionately. But it really allows us to have a cohort of mentors that we bring on and we coach for a period of time. But I think it's the magic happens in that unofficial coaching time where you really just share with them your experience, your stories, and to some of the questions that you're asking, kind of here's some career advice. And yes, I often have an opportunity to talk to our cohorts of mentees and really just give them a window into what my career journey has been and just provide for them some nuggets of here's how you navigate organizations, enterprises, and different sectors. Sometimes folks are new in their careers and they don't have that experience, so your wisdom helps to pull them along.
That's great.
That is good. Yes.
So, Aaron, have there ever been another time when you've had to navigate transition?
Oh yeah, most recently for me, in my current position is super new. I went from being over an operations office in human resources to now being over accountability office in human resources, and I had to navigate learning, I feel like everything from scratch. I've always been on this side of the table where I'm actually executing and doing the work. And now I'm on the side of the table where I'm reassessing and evaluating and monitoring and making recommendations and telling people what they should fix, what their processes are, what's broken, what are the gaps, things of that nature. Um, so yeah, it took me a minute to make the adjustment and to make the switch. But I really, really do enjoy it. It is a good space. I was able to build a whole new team, and that was fun. So just like Miss Elena said, take on these new roles, these new opportunities. Stretch yourself, and you will go far for sure. I really like that advice. But yes, just in this role that I'm in now was new and different for me. Hmm.
I know for myself, I've had to transition several times throughout my career, going from a realtor, going to a computer IT specialist, to a computer trainer. Then I worked transition again to work on policy analyst type items, to working in the general counsel office. And every transition I made, I realized that I had to let go of the version of myself that no longer fit for that new job. And I also embrace the skills that I was learning. And not that I even had it on my forefront or of something that I wanted to do, but it was something, every transition, I was able to do it well. So I appreciated the change. And I embraced the level of professionals that I was meeting in those careers as well. But letting go who I thought I was and what I thought I was going to do was so important. And then getting clarity on what I actually wanted in the time at that moment is how I was able to succeed and grow within that position. But it didn't happen until I let go of what I thought I needed.
That is great advice too, Yolanda, because I can tell you this Aaron you see today is not the same Aaron from 5 years ago or from 10 years ago. Like there are iterations of ourselves that as we grow and as we develop, we become different. I love that. Let go of what you were or what you thought you were or who you thought you were in the past and just keep moving forward. I like that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yolanda, I would say too, I think it's seeing those changes as growth opportunities. I think
Mhm.
sometimes people fear change and fear moving into a new role because it's different or it's new, but it really is your perspective on the new position. And if we look at them as kind of growth opportunities, we're going to do well there because we see it as growth. As you refer to it as letting go, but it's really growing. It's allowing yourself to grow and sprout into whatever that new role, position, or department is.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, Elena, do you have any questions for us?
So I do. So I'm going. My question would be around artificial intelligence. You know, I'm a techie at heart, and being tech savvy is one of the things that has continued to help me propel in my career. And I would ask, maybe in both of your roles, what do you see as the impact that AI is going to have on workforces and professionals? And how are you embracing AI, if you are, and if not, why?
All right. Aaron, you want to go first or?
Oh, I was going to see if you wanted to go first.
Oh, I can go first.
Go ahead. Yeah.
All right. So I would tell you, I have totally embraced AI. I think that there'll be a generation of people who will lose out of opportunities if they don't embrace AI. I think that it's very important for you to know and understand what it is, how to use it, and how to identify when the feedback or information that you receive is correct. I think that you can't take it for verbatim or whatever the results is that it gives you. I think it's a tool that can help you in whatever position or whatever acts that you have of it. I think if you position it correctly, you could take an opportunity to advance in your career, or you could take an opportunity to utilize that tool to help you fulfill whatever need that you have. If it's an assignment or if you're doing research, I just think that people should remember that the information that's provided in AI is man-made. It's not just come up from out of thin air. Someone has put that information in the database for someone else to use.
Great point.
We've been utilizing it. It's the internet. Every
Mhm.
No,
Google.
it's a great point, Yolanda.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have so many mixed emotions about AI and the advent of automation and all of these things. I guess I'm so old school. While I do use it because it's convenient, right? I use it as a tool to just make my life easier and stuff. But I think it is handicapping people in terms of people don't really think about anything anymore. They don't do research. They pick up a phone or they get on a laptop and they Google or they ask ChatGPT a question, right? And like Yolanda said, a lot of times people take that stuff as, gospel. That stuff may or may not be correct. And then I also have the part of the AI struggle. The struggle for me is the sheer amount of water that it uses, right? So I'm a bit of an environmentalist myself. My background is in agricultural economics. So I just think about what it means for our communities, what it means for our environment. The more we use it, the more we kind of just mess up. And then I think about the movies. Like, have y'all seen this movie called Eagle Eye? I think Shia LaBeouf was in it. It's an old movie. It came out maybe like 10, 15 years ago in the early 2000s. But it was basically a movie about how AI took over and was trying to like kill everybody. I don't know if we'll ever get to that space, but I do think that AI can be a little bit dangerous. I mean, I've heard news, it was on the news recently how, people are taking images of children and creating very inappropriate videos of them using AI. So it can be a tool, yes. It can be a good thing, but it all depends like whose hands is it in and what is it being used for and how can we monitor that? Right now it's kind of like the wild wild west in terms of there's not a lot of regulation and oversight. People are out here doing anything. I don't know if that's a good thing. I just know I have so many mixed emotions about it. But yes, I do use it. I use it in my career. I use it in my job. We actually have an AI tool at work that people are using to help get their work done. But I just kind of use it with caution. Like I proceed with caution for sure.
I love both of your answers around artificial intelligence and its impact on our careers and career professionals. I probably fall somewhere in between Yolanda's perspective, which sounds a little positive and embracing, and Aaron, your perspective that is maybe cautious and let's be concerned about what those dangers and fears could be because they are real. I'm probably right there in the middle when I think of artificial intelligence. I think that it certainly can be a benefit to us. But we have to be responsible about the way that we enable and use it. And I think, Yolanda, you mentioned that. I think as we look at it in terms of careers, hiring, and HR, we also have to look at the bias, an inherent bias that can be built in. Because, Yolanda, to your point, it's only as smart as the data that is fed to it. And we know the inherent bias, depending on who's utilizing the systems, can continue to perpetuate ways that maybe our communities and others are impacted. So I'm excited about artificial intelligence and its impact to enhance our roles across various roles and sectors. But I'm also kind of an advocate for the future advantage. I think is really it belongs to professionals who are able to find that balance, who can combine human judgment with the influence of the technology, without solely relying on the tech, doing the verification, clarifying the information that you're given. So, great point. I love your responses in that space.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you. That was a great question.
I just want to add to it that I think that if people utilize it like a tool, like somebody to support you with brainstorming, right? Or to answer a quick question. I've actually utilized it to look for a car or to understand how much I should be paying for auto mechanic services. And in comparison to my vehicle, compared to maybe another vehicle, the cost of the tires or maintenance. But I think that's the same thing we was doing anyway when we was Googling. Every who don't have a cell phone, isn't that an AI device? It's,
Absolutely.
but, but I will tell you that when it comes to, this might be off the subject, but when it comes to going into the grocery store and I have a choice of having a person ring me up versus having to go through a self or automated type system, I'm going to the human. I'm going to go to the human every time. I definitely need to work with people. I do not want to be sitting next to a robot in the future and thinking that it's okay that, or a robot is my supervisor. I'm not doing that. I'm not a Jetson setter. If anybody used to watch that cartoon, and
Hmm.
that's where I think the transformation may be actually heading to.
It is, and
It
that's
is.
what's scary. Like AI is going to put, or has already put some people out of work. They're creating robots where, in warehouses now. So now people don't have to move packages, and now the robots are doing it. They are driverless vehicles. So what's going to happen to the Uber and Lyft drivers, the taxi drivers? You know what I mean? It's just very, I don't know. I have concerns in case you couldn't tell, but I'm trying to embrace it because this is the future and the future is here. So we all have to get on board with AI in some way, shape, or form. But it gets kind of scary when you see stuff like people don't know what's real anymore. You see videos or movies or even spoofs of your voice, your image.
Yeah,
People can't tell what's real and what's not anymore, and that's kind of the scary piece of it to me.
definitely. I'm, for one, will not be getting in a vehicle that's not operated by man.
Well,
Mankind.
and
I'm not doing it.
it's interesting, Yolanda and Aaron, that you say that, because I see the advent of AI and it coming to fruition to create, while it's going to absolve us of some roles and jobs, I see it opening the door and the windows for someone has to manage that robot. Someone has to program that robot that may be someone's supervisor. And someone has to keep track of the database for all of the cars that might be on the road. So while it may eliminate some roles, I think it's going to open up other roles that may be a little, maybe more elevated, more high tech. I think it's going to remove some of the redundant things or the repetitive tasks that we complete daily. But somebody has to manage those and be in charge of them. And the people who are able to embrace AI are going to have a leg up maybe on others who may shy away from it a little bit.
Okay,
You're
okay.
right. I agree. I agree. That is true.
So it's
Hmm.
definitely going to be a transformation to
Mhm.
Yeah.
something. And AI is not new. It just might be new to some of
Yeah.
us or a few of us, but it's been around a long time. And the government, whoever, been utilizing it all along. We just getting an opportunity to taste it ourselves. Right.
Hmm.
So, Miss Elena, what are some gems that you could offer our audience, some actionable items about transitioning?
So I guess if I were going to leave you guys if them with kind of a few topics or things that like what I would call executive moves that they can do to stay ahead of the curve, I look at them as like there's 7 executive moves that folks should be making. One, and we just talked about it, right? Develop AI and digital literacy. That's going to help you stay ahead of the curve. Learn how your organization or government agency creates value. Build relationships across silos. I think oftentimes as employees, sometimes we could be head down in our careers. We only stay in our department, our division. Figure out a way to cross network across different silos. That's how you build value into your role. We talked about this a bit. Become comfortable with ambiguity and change. And then my last 3 in this space, in terms of kind of 7 executive moves to stay ahead of the curve: speak the language of strategy and outcomes. We are moving beyond, I come to my job and do my role and complete my task and go home. Most executives and professionals are looking for people who can translate that into the impact and the outcome. How does it tie back to the strategy and to our objectives? So being able to speak that language is going to be key. I touched on this a little bit, increasing your visibility through initiatives and innovation. To me, curiosity is a strategy. Remaining curious is a strategy. And then I guess lastly, I would say maybe commit to continuous learning before you need to. Sometimes the biggest mistake is waiting until change is forced upon you and not looking to change until you see that transition or until a department is closing. It's really being forward thinking and committing to continuous learning before you need to do that.
Wow, thank you. Well, that
Yeah.
was a load of gems. Thank you so
Look,
much.
I, I was taking notes, trying to catch all of them. Thank you. I'm going to have to rewatch this again. That was great. Thank you, Miss Alicia.
Definitely worth a playback. Absolutely. And I
Mhm.
hope that our audience caught all of those very, very important gems that Elena put upon us. Thank you so much.
Yes,
And
thank you.
so I have a question for you, Miss Elena.
Yeah.
Is loyalty to a job overrated in today's workplace?
And I think I would answer that with a resounding yes. Having been at an organization where when times shifted, we had to do workforce reduction that everyone is familiar with, and this is a sign of those times. I think our loyalty has to be to what best serves you. We can keep our companies, our organizations, and our leaders in the loop, but I think we need to make sure that we keep ourselves in a position where if and when transition comes or if and when there is a reduction in force, that you have the skills that you need to be able to stay ahead of the curve as we're talking about. And so I would say loyalty is definitely overrated. I think confidence in oneself and continuing to build skills, balance that skill out. It's not to say that you're not committed to your current organization, but it's that being ever ready should you happen to need to look for something else.
Great. Aaron, do you have any feedback on that?
Oh, no, I think that was excellent. Yes, I don't think loyalty to any one job, any one organization, any one position is ever the a good look. You have to be open and ready and yes, just be ready to move and do something new and different. Yes. I've
Absolutely.
never been loyal to a job. I'm just saying. Just not.
Well, I
Yeah.
think that's how you grow. But I think
Mhm.
that the awakening was in the transition that people had to do, not by choice, last year. If they had not been perhaps loyal to a job for 30 and 40 years, and even 10 and 5 years, that they may have been more prepared for having to pivot, having to update their resumes, uh, having to adjust and know how to interview and answer tough questions. And if you have not pivoted for a long time and transitioned from one position to another position, or from one job to another job, or from one career to a whole different career, anytime over the last 10, 20, and 30 years, then you probably was not prepared and ready
Mhm.
for when you have to make a move.
Yolanda, I would say one other thing, maybe kind of my closing thoughts around this would be resiliency is the new job security. Like it's really making sure you're not going to be safe in any industry, I don't think today, but being adaptable remains valuable. So I think like true career resilience comes from those transferable skills, having a really broad network, continuous learning. And if I would leave your audiences with anything, I would say your greatest professional security is not in your title or in your current role. It really is in your ability to evolve and adapt.
Oh,
I
thank
love
you so
that.
much.
And if I could
Yes.
add to that, because I'm all about the side hustles and making sure you have multiple streams, not only being resilient, but also being wise, and a good steward of what you have already, just in case that hard time comes, just in case that layoff comes, and you have another stream of income, another way to earn, so that you're not just like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So I love that, being resilient, but also just being multifaceted. Have your multiple streams. Yes.
Well, that was our segue right into our side hustle. And so I'm going to
Yeah.
ask Miss Elena, what is your side hustle?
Oh, it's a great question, Yolanda. So I probably have two or three, right? My most pronounced side hustle, I would call it, is my Melanin Meals, which is a family collection of recipes in form of a cookbook. So
Nice.
when we had to look at how we're going to create and generate revenue, at the start of COVID, I leaned into creating a recipe book that's available online and on my website, melaninmeals.com. And it's one of the things that I'm most passionate about because I like to combine food, people, and good time. And so to me, in this recipe book, it helps professionals like ourselves to have kind of a go-to list of meals that they can go to prepare after their busy days at work. So that would be the one I would highlight, Yolanda, is Melanin Meals.
Oh, thank you so very much.
That's so cool. I love that. I'm gonna check it out.
Yes, please do.
Yes, and you could buy that on Amazon.
Yes, there's a link
Yes.
out on Amazon.
All right, and you provide that to us, and we'll make sure we put that in our
Our
bio
notes.
area.
Yep. And
Yes,
then
and our
link
notes.
it in
Thank
this
you.
podcast. Yep.
That's right.
Yes. I love that. You said you had two or three, so you have your melanin meals and
Well, and here's the other one, and Yolanda alluded to it in the intro, but I also run an online book club, Shades of Brown, where Yolanda is a member, and we gather with other professional women and gentlemen, and we read and support minority authors when they have books and book releases. And we've been doing this maybe going on year 3 or 4 now. We started at the beginning of COVID, but it's an opportunity to have an outlet outside of your professional career to network with other women and men around intellectual conversation.
I love it. That's nice.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, as
Nice.
we close this conversation, I want you to remember this: career transitions aren't a setback, they're a strategy. Every shift, every pause, every phase, every pivot is an invitation to realign with who you are becoming. Whether you're stepping into something new by choice or by circumstance, you are not navigating this moment empty handed or alone. You carry experience, resilience, and a story that can be told and taken into a new chapter of your life whenever you have to pivot. It's a transition.
Oh, that's amazing.
Thank you, thank you. In today's episode, we hope that we gave you clarity, courage, and even confidence to transition if in need when you need to. Keep taking the right step that you choose to align yourself. Do not be fearful. Be prepared.
As always, this was great. It's been a pleasure. Miss Elena, I'm so sorry I was late, but it was so nice to meet you and talk with you and share these wonderful insights. So I want to thank you again for joining us on our Higher Learning podcast today. Um, and as always, you guys, send us your questions. Email us at higherlearning@gmail.com. And let us know what you want to discuss, or if you have questions about your career, we'd be happy to help out. As always, like, follow, share, and subscribe. And we will see you guys next time.
Thank you, Elena.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
It's been a pleasure.